Okay. Okay. All right. Well, we are actually live now. Had a false start there, but second take. Um, my name is Cecil Worsley, and I am the founder of a company called Wrecking Ball here in Wilmington, North Carolina. So I started this YouTube channel just now, about 20 seconds ago, 30 seconds ago, to document my life. Um, I figured it would not be useful to so many people. It would at least be fun for me to give it a shot. But maybe people would find it interesting or inspiring to learn and watch, me do all the things that I do. I think that I'm a pretty interesting guy. I founded this company called Wrecking Ball. I'm a software engineer, so I do all the software engineering for it, hardware engineering, you name it, I do it. And I think it should be a pretty interesting process. I've been working on it for about 2 years and felt that if maybe I shared a little bit about what I do, then it might inspire some other people to do the same or to kind of help them, encourage them to go out and pursue some of their goals and things that they've been thinking about doing. And so, me starting this YouTube channel to talk to probably no one um, is a good start. So this is me going out there and doing something I've always thought would be fun to do as a very long time YouTube enjoyer and lurker or watcher or whatever you want to call it. Um, I've always thought it would be fun. Um, so this is me doing that. So I hope that I'll hopefully inspire people as I build this company, as I get married next Friday in 10 days or so. And as I go through some of my fitness goals, I'm also an endurance athlete, um, and so I figure as I go through all these different avenues in life, it might show people that you can have a lot going on. You can do all the sorts of things that you want to do and still be successful, however you want to go and define success. Though I'm not sure if I've achieved any version of that yet, but hopefully you will get to see it happen live and in color here. I'm not a videographer or, some sort of career content creator with fancy lights and nice editing technique or, graphics, whatever you want to call it. I'm just a guy who's just gonna hit live every few days and show you what I do as I go through my day. Um, and we'll see if it's interesting. Maybe probably nobody will watch, if I had to guess, but maybe somebody will. And then if you do, then hopefully you get something out of it. So the things that I want to do on this channel are show you everything from writing software to improve this tech startup, um, assembling some of the hardware that we have that we put out into the world, uh, design circuit boards for one. This is an example of one of them that we've built that is horribly designed, barely works, but that's okay. We've got some jumper wires in there if that means anything to you. Um, and uh, and then what else do we do? We got like thousands of computer components here from old projects of this company that were just disregarded or that we have pivoted away from, which is always interesting to see, when you kind of come to the realization of like, okay, well, the thing that we've been doing for however long just isn't working anymore. That's always okay, but you got to learn from those past mistakes and then do something better that, people want to buy and pay for and so that you can advance the company. Um, you know, I'm I'm not a nutritionist by any stretch of the imagination, but I enjoy good nutrition, finding different ways to kind of optimize your life and your fitness and your work and all that. So, in the future, I hope to get into maybe we'll play some video games at some point. I've always looked for a reason to, without guilt, play video games during the day. I've always thought that would be fun. I'm sure I'm not the only one out there who feels that way, but work comes first, especially when you're a one man band like I am, at least for now. Um, so maybe as we go through that journey, we'll discover all sorts of new things. We'll get into new hobbies. We'll discover music together. We'll who knows? We'll fix bugs. We'll solve customer issues. We'll um, just see what we get into. But I suppose what would help is if we kind of talked a little bit about what this company does, because right now you have no idea. All you know now, I guess, is that we do software and then we do some hardware stuff, and that's always interesting. But a little bit about my background is I worked for, well, before that, I grew up here in Wilmington. If you're familiar with the area, which you probably know, but I went to school here in North Carolina, and then after graduation, I went and worked for a cool company in Charlotte, North Carolina. Worked there for about a year and a half or so, and then moved out to Santa Cruz, California, and worked for very cool and very successful startup company out there. That was a pretty incredible experience. Worked there for maybe 2.5, almost 3 years, I think, and then I got another job, which really sparked a lot of my love for hardware, which is kind of why I'm always sort of searching for an idea or a way to, take something in the real world and apply software to it or integrate software into it in some way. That seems to be one of my passions. That doesn't mean that I'm good at hardware. It just means that I love it. So, I think that from a software perspective, I'm a little bit interesting. I'm no like, let's see, like hardened veteran systems engineer that, only writes in assembly um, and has got some intense philosophy about how to be a software engineer and why doing it this way and that way is better or worse. I'm all about just getting the job done. I mean, you don't forsake your future self. You don't want to just write total garbage that you're going to have to continuously clean up, of course, but it's all about getting the job done. And especially when you're in a startup environment where time is of the essence and money is short, and you need to make the customer happy today versus in 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, whatever it might be. But anyway, so I work for a cool company out there, which I'm sure I'll talk about in a future video if anybody's ever interested in it. And then I moved home back to Wilmington about 4 years ago, and ever since then I've been kind of looking for the right opportunity as far as what I wanted to do on my own. Did some consulting, things like that. Um, and then sort of wandered into this funny startup called Wrecking Ball. Um, let's see, making sure that I didn't screw anything up. Okay, good. It's still live. Um, so Wrecking Ball is a company that today is all about safety orientation management for commercial construction job sites. That's the tagline. That's the 10-second pitch that you can blurt out to people at parties and in conversation, things like that. Um, and but what does that mean? So we're applying software and hardware to the construction industry. And the thing about the construction industry is that it's like an enigma. Like it's never consistent. Like every single day is different. Like you've got one day you've got trees on a plot of land. The next day it's clear. The next day you've got a job site trailer. The next day you've got tractors going every which way, and then you're building buildings. You're laying concrete. You're going vertical with the building. So there's nothing that's ever consistent, or there's no assumptions really to make about the industry. That's why it's like so interesting and difficult to handle and manage. Um, so so I got really into trying to solve some problems, and the one that really stuck out after trying in some other ways that I'll get into um, is the safety orientation management. So a little bit about what that means is in the U.S., which presumably is where the viewers will be viewing it, who knows, but we have a government regulatory industry called OSHA, and they come in and they go and make sure that you're being safe, that the workers on the job site are wearing hard hats and they got steel-toed boots and long pants, and that if you're digging a trench, that, you know, it's secured in a certain way, given certain parameters, so on and so forth. So um, this body that was created in 1970, if you care to hear any of the history, by Richard Nixon. Um, they go out and they make sure people are staying safe, and they're trying to reduce, you know, job site fatalities and injuries, everything from people falling off the roof to, you know, cutting off a finger, things like that. So that's why a lot of that exists, and a lot of it makes sense. Um, but you know, when you go as a worker, when you go into a job site, you have to be safety oriented, and that takes, you know, a person like a superintendent on a job site to go in and teach the workers that are new to the site how to be safe on that site. So that takes up a lot of time. There's a lot of human error that's built into that, as you probably could assume, and so we're trying to sort of mitigate that. We're trying to lessen the amount of time it takes to get people oriented, but get them more efficiently oriented and more competently oriented, I think would be a good term. You know, in a faster way, and to reduce the human error, to make sure that we're covering all of our bases, or all of the material maybe that a general contractor might want them to know, or that OSHA would want them to know. So when I discovered that this was a huge pain point for people, you know, the superintendents on the job sites in particular, and then of course upper level management, to go out and um, make sure that these folks, you know, knew everything they needed to know, that they were, you know, going through the steps, that they were signing on the dotted line saying, yes, I am going to be safe, and yes, I do understand all the material that you've taught me. It took up a lot of their time, and a lot of people were not oriented in the way that they need to be. And so we set out, and under Wrecking Ball, we created a product called Safetynow, which is this shirt that I'm wearing, and it's kind of raggedy. They didn't print it right, but so anyways, this is an old version of it now. So that's what Safetynow does, and that's what Wrecking Ball is out to solve and to fix, and to help general contractors with. So as a software engineer, I'm sitting here thinking, all right, well, how are we gonna fix that? So, you know, we build a product around it, and then we'll kind of like get into it a little bit and sort of show it off to you so that you understand what we're talking about. So that you can kind of put a face to the name. Maybe if anybody ever walks into these live documentation, you know, videos or whatever they're going to end up being, then, you know, we can have like a back and forth about it. You can ask questions, but for now, I'll maybe record a little bit about what the product looks like. Let's see, and then we can kind of go from there. In the meantime, I'll either discover a bug that I've got, um, or and then we'll fix it live, and then we'll both probably understand more about what all's going on at the end of it. So let's see if I can turn on the screen sharing on OBS. So I'm pretty new to this. So we'll just type hello world into the chat. See if that goes to anybody here or anything. I guess if anybody ever does watch this back, you could like the video. That's something that you should do, and then you could subscribe so that, you know, you can watch the other videos that I'll do. This is so weird. I feel like one, I'm talking to myself, which is funny, and two, I'm talking to no one, like talking to myself and no one on the internet. But let me try to do the screen share. So I think I just clicked the scene. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. There you have it. I'm pretty sure that's up and live and there. Let's see. Let me try to do the screen share. Okay. Just playing it back to make sure I got it right. I think I did. So yeah. So now here you go. Here you go. You see Safetynow, and let's see. So we can go to, let's see, we'll go to our local install of it, which is not live right now, all good. why don't we start a YouTube database for this first? So we can roll all this up. We will create maybe create a database. I use IntelliJ if anybody finds that interesting. You know, everybody's got an opinion about what the editor should be, but really it's just whatever you feel like using and whatever helps you get the job done. We'll just do Wrecking Ball YouTube. And then probably should have done this before. So we'll create that. And then really quick, let me go to back to here, make sure I don't reveal any information I shouldn't. So I'm just gonna, oops. Nope. There we go. Okay, so we will do Wrecking Ball YouTube. And then we're just gonna start it up. I know that you still can't see, so just give me a second here. And then in the meantime, while this is kind of getting booted up and I'm getting everything in place, because the idea here is that I'm not sitting and recording some like pre-scripted video. It's the idea um, is that I'm working while you're watching me work. So you know there'll be some lulls and some downtime, but it's essentially just like a place for you to like watch what I do, hopefully be inspired, and then kind of work alongside me on whatever you're doing, whether it be your day-to-day, you know, 9 to 5 job, or you're building your own startup. So, anyways, I'll just kind of ramble on a little bit while I get this all squared away. Let's see. We have to do the migration to the new database. But yeah, so one thing, and like kind of how all this stuff works, the idea really, the solution, I suppose, to the problem that I just outlined. I think it's the proper way to describe it. Is we have these large QR code signs, and I've actually got one right over there. It's a shame it's not in the background, but they walk up on the job site. They can whip out their phone. They'll scan the QR code, and then it'll take them to a link where they will be shown that job site's specific safety orientation. So they'll put in their information, like name, obviously, who their subcontractor is, excuse me, phone number, and then a picture of their face, which we'll get to later because we use some facial recognition stuff, which is kind of interesting. And then they'll be presented basically like an LMS or like a slideshow, like a PowerPoint kind of all that content. So, you know, say like, welcome to the job site. How are you doing? You go to the next page, and then you go to the next page, right? And you continue on through this. And then at the end of it, we have our clients give us a quiz so that we know for a fact that they've been oriented, and so that they comprehended the material. So that's part of it. So it's at the face of it, it's a very standard LMS, but it's one that we've created that's targeted towards this. We considered using some third-party LMSs, but we wanted to make sure we had all control of it, full control over it. And that's not like really like I want to own it or like I want to have done all the engineering on it. Like it's not about that. It's just about like the unknown. Really, it's like day one. When I started writing this thing over a year ago. All the features are there, like it all works great, and then you have another client comes on board, it's just like, well, I want this feature, and then you're just beholden to the LMS vendor, if you will, to implement that feature, or you have to create some wild and insane workaround for it. And I didn't want to have to be pressured with that. I wanted to have full control over what features are available and how fast I can iterate on the features that are there today. So that's why we built our own. Could we have done it a different way? Probably, but it fits our needs right now, and we've been successful with it. So, so let's see. I'm supposed to be working while I'm rambling. That's kind of part of the idea. And of course, while I'm doing all this, I have to work, so I have to check email and such and all that good stuff. took a water. Where's water? Not used to speaking. I'll like my own video. I don't know if that's against the rules. But yeah, anyways, here we go. So it's been a while since I started this thing up on a new database, so it's taking its sweet, sweet time. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Oh, got it, got it. Let's see. I'll get to showing everybody this in a minute. I just want to get it up and running. Again, I should have done it, but anyways, let's see. Hopefully this will come up. If not, we'll get Safari on the case. I've had this really strange Chrome issue, which I've never had before, and it's kind of like something happens on a particular site that I'm going to, like, like, well, never Google, of course, but sometimes localhost. And let's see, yeah. So I go to the way it just sits there and it spins and it spins and it spins and it spins, and it never loads, and I have no idea why. I mean, I guess maybe the solution is like to reinstall it, but there's so much stuff in Chrome. It's like in those cases, I could just as easily use Safari, which has got terrible dev tools. It's awful. It's very, very frustrating. Let's see. Got password and sure. Setting the term of service. Okay, so now we're in. All right, cool, good. That looks good. I'll save the password and we are good. All right. So, yeah, I'll show you all the screen now. And screen, there it is. Cool. Yeah, so here we've got, yes, this is what happens when a new general contractor, and general contractor, that's like the name, like that's like a construction company basically is who that is. So their safety professional or competent person would be the technical term, or safety director, whatever you want to say, would log in here, and then this is kind of what they first be presented with. And so one of our like kind of core tenets is like making sure that you can go from not having Wrecking Ball or Safetynow to using it in less than 5 minutes. So then here, this is just like our getting started guide. So we'll create a first site. So we'll just do like AmatureHour, because that's the name of the channel, by the way. If you couldn't see, not that, I guess I'm the only one watching right now. Okay, cool. So AmatureHour, and then we'll just do 123 Main Street. Sure. Main Street, White Plains, New York. No idea where that is, but okay. And then we'll save it. So we saved it. Now we'll create a first quiz. Quizzes, trainings, I've kind of gone back on the marketing on it, to be honest, so I should probably get that kind of standardized, but we'll keep going for now. I'll just point out like all the flaws, right? It's like it's your baby, but you see all the things that nobody else would. So let's create a new training, and I guess we need some more screen space. So the dev tools are kind of in our way. Okay, so here we just need to create a little bit more. Did Chrome just crash? Weird. Okay, it didn't crash. Did OBS crash? No, good. And as you can probably tell, my dev machine, stream PC, it's all in one. It's because, startup life is poor, and that's like kind of one thing that you have to think about is like are you okay not having nice stuff and you're just like kind of having to go for it, um, and like make it work, right? I don't really know if I've got like this particular computer's got the firepower for it, but we're gonna find out. So if my face cam gets choppy, if the screencast gets choppy, we'll just work with it. We'll figure it out. So and that's how you have to do it in startups too. I mean, every day it's like, well, let's just make it work. Let's just get it done. Let's do what we have to do um, to to get this product out there and to like build a customer base. So new page. So here we go. let's just kill this for now. So here, I mean, it gives you very little to start with. So it just is like, all right, well, just put in some text, right? And we can come over here. We can choose from layout. So if you wanted an image in the background, there would be an image there. Here, pick an image, put an audio clip up here because we support that too, which is neat. And let's see, where else? Yeah, so you can pick an audio clip. You can also pick from here, and it's not obvious from the UI, but you could also pick a video. And for all the nerds out there, we use a service called mux.com to manage all that stuff and like to stream the videos and everything. It's like pretty drop in. It's not like you don't need to become like a video streaming genius or anything. It's just an API and a JavaScript library that you drop on the front end, and then boom, you got streaming video. And we do plenty of video work, but not enough to where it like really costs us anything. So anyways, we can come in here. We'll just do it like this. So we'll come in here, choose an image, we'll upload an image, and I was working on the banner ad for YouTube earlier. So this is one of the pictures. Well, rather, there's a bunch of them. Anyways, we will choose. This is just one of. Let's see. Oh, I just want to get a good one. We'll just choose something simple like this, high visibility vest. So let's go with that one. All right, so we uploaded that. Click on it. We can see all this information. If, like, for example, the image, if the image like had words in it, which I wouldn't recommend, just because of like resolution and screens and such. But if some reason you need like an English version and a Spanish version, then you can come in and add the Spanish version of it, like add a translated option. But we'll just stick with this for now. It's fine. Select. There we go. So we can kind of change the display type. You can make it a little bit more transparent like that. But we'll just keep it. You can darken it. It's a little bit redundant, but there's just some tweaks. We can kind of get into how all that works later. So we can come in here and say like, make sure you wear high visibility gear. And then we'll make that title, the heading, boom, there we go. And so now we've got one page, and then we can come in here and ask a question. We'll create a new page, and we'll say it's multiple choice. No, we'll just say yes, no. So I go with the question will be, do you have to wear high vis gear? And of course the answer is yes. Also for the nerds, this is the Quill editor, Quill.js. And the whole thing, like the front end framework here is React, if you're curious. And you'll see tons of that stuff here sooner or later. Let's see. All right, so yeah, like we've got the world's most basic training here. So we can go like into preview, and we can see the English versus Spanish. So this is highlighted red because we haven't translated it yet, and we can do that here. So we translate, and then we'll kind of reload the whole thing, and then this will be the Spanish equivalent. You can go into presentation. I won't do that now, but you can present if you wanted to present it to like a large group of people. So like if you have hundreds of people that you want to like knock it all out in one go, then you can hit that presentation mode, which is kind of like an interesting feature to build because it's like we don't want to get away from like the self-service model of like workers going in and um, like doing all this on their own because we don't really want to have to or require the superintendent or the competent person on site from the GC to have to spend their time doing this. But there are some cases where maybe you want to do that, and we want to provide everybody that option. um, yeah, we want to provide everybody with that option. So anyways, so yeah, you would go through this. We will just go ahead and publish it. And we'll wait a second. Oh, we need a title too. Let's put a title. Let's do hello YouTube. And then do that. We will publish it again. Now it's published. So now we can go back to the dashboard, and then it's going to want some account information. So let's see. Let me go and find a good image for this because I've got one that's set up. The YouTube thing sounded like a good idea, but then I'm like sitting here, I'm talking so much. Jeez. I guess I've been live for 31 minutes, apparently. I wonder if anybody will ever watch. There's no way to know for sure. There's no way to know for sure. But hey, you got to take your shot. So let's see. Let's go with I want to go with another. I've made a demo one before. It's just about finding it. Oh, okay. Here we go. Let's give this a shot. Might not be right, but we want to upload a picture here. And so yeah, it's transparent. So we'll just hit save. And then once we've done that, we're kind of like out of the startup or out of the account setup phase, and we're presented with the actual dashboard. So, and I'll show you why that image was necessary. So if we go over here to sites, this is our first site, and then our fake location. You can see we can order signs here, which since it's basically just an automated email. We can download the QR code sign, so we can click here. Oh, but we must publish a quiz to the site first, right? So we don't want to allow somebody to like get a QR code, but with no actual quiz or training attached to it. So that was sort of the idea there. So we'll do that. We'll just hit select and then save, and then we can come in here and do it. And oh, boom, crash. Interesting. So let's figure out. There we go. That's a bug. Let's figure out what's going on there. Blah, 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 blah. Just give me some space. You provided an on-close prompt to the dialogue. Oh, we just got a 500 for some reason. Oh, yeah. So this is like kind of assume this is like a developer issue. Because, part of like the core tenets for me as far as being a founder and a software engineer, like I don't want to go and engineer a bunch of stuff that I really don't have to or that I could easily get for free through a third party. So we use like a third party service called like Imager. Uh, let's see, I can probably find it. Image. No, it's not Imager. It's like, I think that's it. Um, yeah, end-to-end visual media solution. Okay, so yeah, they're pretty cool service. Basically, they are like for image compositing, and you can do it through an API, and like, boom, there you go. That's sort of like their little marketing thing on the front. And so basically, you just like make requests to this API, and then you just put in like a bunch of get params or query params, and then boom, like you get this thing. So we do that, but like it's not set up for my development machine because if you stay underneath like um, it's like we have a staging server and then we have a yeah, production server. So like those are the two free ones, and like I don't want to pay for it, so I don't have a third for my local host, which is fine, I guess. Sorry to you, but there's a shout out to my 0-person audience, which is all good. So anyways, so yeah, we've restarted, we just refreshed here, and we won't try to do that again because it's not going to work. But we can come in here, and so yeah, we order signs. We can launch a kiosk, which is like a whole different thing. Like we've got hardware that surrounds that. I won't go into it right now. And then we've got name, the phone, and then face. So face, this is like, you know what, let's just go into, we'll copy the orientation link, and then we'll go private tab. And then we'll just go in there. Oops. Go back to, there we go. That's some of the code. I don't really use all those windows, but it's doing something different earlier. Yeah, so while this takes an eon to load, and I do not know why, it's very aggravating. And then we'll blow this up a little bit. A little bit more. Man, it is exhausting to be live on YouTube. But it's so good. It's so good. It helps me explain this. And then, hopefully somebody will think it's interesting. And the likelihood that anybody ever watches this, we're um, kind of looking for people to help with like sales development and then maybe some software engineering. But we'll see if anybody ever bites on that. All right, well, take your time. Maybe we'll just jump into Safari. That might be better. So we'll just do. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Oh, this is we just need to. Oh, nope. Dang it. We need just to dump some cookies here because they're leftover from when we were connected to the other database that I work on. So storage graphics layer, where is it? I always forget where it is in Safari. So storage, I guess, and then cookies. Yeah, just delete that. That should probably do it. There we go. And then maybe it's the same. I don't think it's here because it's the incognito tab, but just in case. Yeah, well, that's fine. Um, so this is kind of what it looks like for if you're a worker that walks into the job site, you you'll land here and then you'll be presented with like this pre orientation survey. So like you'll put in like John and then Apple Seed and then your companies, your test company. So this would be like a subcontractor. So you'd be like a drywall company or concrete company, something like that. Put in your phone number. So maybe we won't do phone number here on the internet. That might not be that smart. So we'll just remove that and we will reload. I don't know what Chrome's problem is. It's been really frustrating. Okay, so yeah, anyways, John and then Appleseed. Set the profile photo. So then this is gonna take a picture of me here. I'll allow it. All right, so what we're doing is we're saying make sure you don't have sunglasses, regular glasses, or and that you're in good lighting. So sometimes we'll get folks who now they might be trying to use the same camera that I'm using for the stream. So I guess it won't do that. I guess I've never really had that issue before. So I've never done a stream. So I guess we could go into some code and fix some bugs live. So all of that happens in orientations. Go. And right, and then it's very poorly named thing called face script, which is like this very legacy thing that I don't love, but that's okay. And let's just pull it over here. We can, oops, get rid of that, and then we'll come down, get rid of that. It's very distracting. So down here, let's see what happens when we want to get the actual webcam. Oh, it's get user media video. So get user media. Let's see, because navigator media devices, get user media. How do we get, if we have two cameras, how do you get one over the other? Let's look that up. That's kind of part of like amateur hour. It's like, I mean, not like really the coding part because like I'm good at that, but I don't know. I haven't really memorized all of MDM, right? So let's go to MDM or MDN media devices and just see what it says. So get display media, get user media. So I've gone to that before. And okay, we put that in, and then we put this, and then so we could request a particular device ID if we knew that. Uh, enumerate media devices. That looks pretty interesting. So if you have a device ID from, okay, that's how you do it then. So let's just see what happens when we call this. Just see what comes back. We could probably just do it here in Chrome because it's a little faster than silly Safari. So navigator media devices. And then let's get the console.log. So it's an input device, and then media device info. Okay, what is input device info? Audio input, video output. Well, I don't know. Let's just try each one of them. See what happens. Just so that we can get this to display. I mean, we could go through like the pain of like having like a drop down selector, where you could like choose and it'll like bounce back between different cameras, but like that's not at all what we need because you're on your phone typically, and I think it'll just like select the first one that meets like a particular criteria. I'm kind of guessing there, but it works. So we're not going to go in and invent something for no reason. So we will just get this group ID, and then we'll come in here. We will media devices. So we'll just say media ID or device ID. We'll get that, see what happens. Hopefully that wasn't the audio one. Sorry. Oh, okay. Chrome finally loaded. Let's see if it'll reload. Just gotta check the email, while we're doing that. Like another thing that we'll probably do is like we'll take some breaks, and like I was thinking, some weeks are busier than others. Like some weeks I'm like here constantly, like every single minute of every day. And then others I've got like meetings every other hour. And so they all kind of go like that. So it's like 2 weeks of this and then 2 weeks of that. And I figured that I would just sort of start like an all day workday stream. And then, when I'm not here, then I'll just have like some AFK overlay that I like tell you what I'm doing. And then I'll come back and I'll just, report like, well, what happened? If it's a business meeting, like, okay, hey, we got a new client. They've requested these particular features, things like that. And so like, all right, well, let's go ahead and sketch them out and like figure out how we need to build them, or if we need to build them, or if we have to push back on the customer, because that's a lot of it, right? If you've ever worked in the industry or in software development, people come up to you and they want like some really obscure feature that only they will ever use, and you just have to say no because it's not useful, or you provide a workaround, or maybe it is something that everybody else will find useful, and then instead of it being low on the priority list, it kind of gets bumped up a little bit, and you have to go after it. All right, so Chrome's gonna be terrible. Surprise, surprise. So we'll just use Safari here. We'll reload. Let me do something really quick. Okay, I just wanted to share something really quick. So like sometimes we'll have like Twitter breaks, got to be in the tweet lane. Sometimes you got to pull in the tweet lane. No big deal. It's a phrase my buddy of mine. Anyways, so we'll do, John, let's just see if this works. We don't need to fill all that out. So you must give us permission to use your camera for each reload, whatever. So console, what did the console say? Console said nothing. Okay, well, that's weird. Let's do this like navigator. What is it? Media devices dot enumerate. Okay, so media device information, video input, like that should probably be it, right? So devices, so we'll get the second one on the list. Oh, well, we need to log that out. I was always kind of worried about like not looking like some like 30 years seasoned engineer veteran on YouTube, but you know, whatever. Just give it a shot, see what happens. Device ID, video input, blah blah blah. Killing me, man. So it doesn't really come with any your device ID. No? Okay. Do we give it permission? Let's see. Safari is really weird with permission, so you have to go to websites and then you go to like camera and just allow it. So it should just be able to get the camera now. Let's see if that will just work. Probably not. Hey, there we go. So all right, now we got more device information like the device ID and such. And I guess Chrome and Safari had different IDs, so that makes sense. So we did that. Let's reload it. And permission, blah, blah, blah. Okay. That's an audio input. HD Pro Webcam C920. Well, yeah, that's the audio that we're listening to here, but what about my FaceTime camera? That might just not be available to us, so that kind of sucks. So I have to skip this, to be honest, because I've never done like OBS and streaming and like all these cameras going everywhere, but that's okay. I don't know if it's super necessary. But we'll just get right into our training. So we'll go back into our dashboard here and we will just remove face so we can skip that part and like get on with it. So we'll reload here. And let's see. It'd be cool if I could project it. I don't know. All right, so like this is what the worker would be presented with. So like they log in, or they don't log in, but they sign up, they go through that process, they give up their information, and then like here is the training that we all sat here and like went through and constructed. So we can just go next. And then that was the question was, do you have to wear high-vis gear? And the answer is yes, and so we'll do that. And then it says 100. And then we showed them like the actual site that they just completed, that they got a 100. And then like this sort of orientation ID, it's just like kind of a unique identifier apart from like, an auto incremented like integer, because those are kind of not a good idea. So we give this little bit here just to say, boom, if we ever needed to find this particular record. So now we're done. So like that was it. And obviously if it was long, if it had audio, if it had more pictures and such, then you go through each individual slide till you get to the end of it. So that's like the quickest version of that I can show. And then while we were going through it, I could have shown this at the same time, but while we were going through it, we see that this person was coming through, and this guy did the Hello YouTube orientation. He did it in English. He got a 100 on the quiz. This is his progress thus far. And then we can go get more information on the guy. So maybe that smells like a bug too. This is like on our current working branch right here. I haven't even pushed it up yet. So it kind of stands to reason that there would be an issue here. So this is a new feature we've been working on, that I've been working on, I guess I could say here, because it's obviously just me. Let's see. Yeah, because it's obviously just me. We want to like be able to. We already track workers like between sites inside of a general contractor, but we want to like be able to allow people at the back office to like create, well, just to document information about that particular worker that are necessary. So like if they have a certification, like a forklift certification or card, or they have like an OSHA 10 card, which is sort of like standardized set of, and you don't have to have it, but like it's an OSHA standard. You go to a school or online school and you go through like all the OSHA safety regulations, and it takes 10 hours to complete. So it's an OSHA 10, and then there's an OSHA 30, and then there's probably more specialized ones, obviously. So if you wanted to keep track of this here, we're gonna allow you to do that now, because previously you couldn't. There's a lot of tools to like do that, but we're already in sort of that space, so it doesn't make any sense for us to not provide that. So anyways, if I go in here and then we'll see the error. Cool. So what is it? We can just pop over. Where are workers? Oh, interesting. Okay, so this is Rails, if you didn't know, or if you were curious. Now you do know. And it says when there's like a 500 error in Rails, they give you this pretty sweet console, so you can like go and look at the context, like at this line, the one that's highlighted here in red, which is always nice. So let's see, we can inspect, so you can see this like at worker. But here we can just see what at worker is, and I'm pretty sure it's nil, because that's what it says it is in the error. But worker shouldn't be nil. So let's figure out what the heck's going on with that. And then this was in the API worker controller. Let's see, view worker controller. And yeah, we were bouncing around in here earlier today, so this kind of stands to reason. And it's line 110. Where is that? Okay. Yeah, I was messing with some stuff in here. So it's supposed to left join on that, which means it should always have the worker record, I suppose, assuming that it can find the worker. And like to triple check this, we could just, I mean, there's no way they don't exist, but oops. So yeah, okay, that worker exists. So what do we do wrong in this query? Let's see. So the query executed properly. So that's cool. So we can just copy it in here. It looks like junk, but undefined method workers for. All right, well, so that doesn't exist in the view context, probably. Well, maybe, no, it should. Well, let's see. It left joins all this stuff. Joins on subcontractor, so the subcontractor doesn't exist. So we can come in here. I didn't really want to show all this stuff, but I should have started with the master branch. Let's see. Worker joins sub where, let's just do first, which is really the only one, right? So that's fine. Left joins orientations quiz. That also is good. And what next? I wonder what the account is. Maybe the account is not set properly. There's only one account, so I can't imagine whatever else it would be attached to. And it has an account, as we can see down here, and you probably can't see this very well, can you? Of course, I'm not talking to anybody that exists at all, but that's fine. Let's see. Let's see, where is it? Okay, so worker joined. So here we go. So we'll just keep going down this list. Left joins worker. And then we'll do first. We can raise this up. Yeah. Oh, it's behind my face. Sorry. Yeah, so that still works. So then what's the deal? So where... How do you do like left joins with an on statement? Is that not in the where statement? Let's find out. I think that's what it is. So like, oops. Left joins, no, active. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't see. I'm getting used to it, people. To nobody. Hello. Okay. Active rec. Oh, I need to check on something. So, there's no way, hopefully she's not watching at this moment, but I'm getting my bride to be a wedding present. And I messaged somebody about it. And if I don't get it now, they won't be here in time for the wedding. So we want to make sure that we got that squared away. I just like remembered out of the, you know. So let me go back to Basecamp so I don't show it just in case she is watching or does watch. Okay, so now we're face only, cool. And then just so you can see the screen. Sorry, we're all over the place, but like that's kind of part of what this is. It's like this is life, right? This is what we're doing. This is the life part. You know, we got to go and do this life stuff. And if this wasn't a secret for her, then I would show you what I was doing and tell you what I was doing. Okay, cool. And then I gotta go to messages. Okay. Oh, that's right. Okay, I just remembered that. They move these tabs over so they don't pop up on accident. And then I'll show my screen again. Wow, streaming is totally exhausting to like sit here and just talk like nonstop. I mean, I haven't really like worked, like side by side anybody in like years. I was remote before COVID even happened, and so that sort of never stopped. Which is fine. I'm just not used to it, but that's okay. We'll get used to it again. It's probably good for me. So active record left join on condition. How about that? We'll see what happens there. Left outer join with conditions on. Let's see what this guy said. 2014 though. The thing about Stack Overflow is that it's getting older and older and older. Like, I don't know, like either the answers or the questions that Google surfaces or the stuff that Stack Overflow surfaces, whoever's at fault there, it just gets older and older, which is not good. Just my observation. So this guy says, provides you with the ability to specifically join conditions and conditions in the join. Okay. Oh, so it's like you have to write it yourself. I don't- Because I think the where will be applied after the left join happens. And so then that'll filter out anything. I guess that's right. I guess that's right. How about this guy? Let that join orders, and then he's doing other joins. Okay, this is weird. I mean, I guess I could just write the join on my own. That wouldn't be so ridiculous, right? It just always seems. That's like one thing about ORMs, and now I might just be wrong, but like one thing I thought for a long time is it's like, well, that makes sense too though. My first thought was like, well, ORMs are sort of so that you can like have drop-in replaces for databases, but if you're like constantly changing your backend database to like between MySQL and Postgres, I guess then that never happens. Or if it does, it's like a once in a life cycle or product life cycle phase, right? So it's not that weird to write like dialect specific joins in your code. Because like one of the ideas I was originally taught for ORMs, which maybe is just false, is that it doesn't matter what database you're applying it to. There's no need to change any of the syntax or any of the query statements because they're all generated for you through the ORM. Um, anyways, I guess it doesn't much matter. And we've done in other places too. Like you can see this SQL statement here. That's all good. So left joins, I'll do a left join on here. And then I'll do left joins. How did that guy do it? Did he just write it straight? Joins, left joins. No, he did join and then you specify the type of join. Left joins. And I guess that y'all don't really understand what a worker attachment is, and like I'm still sort of defining it in my head, but basically it's like we want to keep a profile on or allow a profile to be created. Allow a profile to be attached to a worker, so they can keep things like notes and like certifications and like strikes, like if a worker is like belligerent or something, or it's just like flippantly ignoring the rules, whatever, that you can like document that fact so that you can always remember that between job sites. So like, if job site A, they got a worker with Jim, and then Jim, um, goes on to work on the job site B, we want to be able to track that guy between job sites so that, there's no open liability for that GC, right? So that way there doesn't have to be any communication directly between the superintendents of a job site. We can just sort of take care of that liability on our own. So it's all documented in one place, right? That way it can always be found and it can always be like referred back to. So that's like an advantage of what we're doing. And then we're calling those things like attachments. So those attachments can have notes, like text notes. And I'll show it to you when we fix this bug. Text notes, and then like images, and then strikes, which is like sort of a variation of that, to where you're saying like giving them like a demerit or like a, whatever you want to call that from school. So so left joins worker attachments on. I don't really remember how that's set up. Let's go into here. I guess we can just go into the worker. So the model is it belongs to a worker, and it has. Okay, so it has a worker ID. So, and I'll call this WA. WA dot worker ID is equal to workers.id. Should probably do it. And this is like the thing that we wanted. And worker attachment. Oh, and then WA deleted equals false. That should do it. And then we'll leave the where for like the actual worker that we're trying to find. So like that's where like worker ID is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. So we do that. And then we'll see if we fixed it. And we did not. So syntax error, we wrote something bad. You know, sometimes I wish it would give me the whole thing. Like, tell me, like, what was the query, right? So syntax error near on or near joins. Just had an idea about my YouTube thing. I think I want to like change the title of the video. Like, I can't just say like because right now it's called like day one. I can't really call it day one because that doesn't really mean anything to anybody. So we'll just talk about like we'll just call it like in what is wrecking ball, right? Um, what is Safetynow? Put that. Save it. We saved it. Okay. Did it change on my phone? We'll find out. Okay. Anyways. I think it's just left join. Oops. Boom. There we go, baby. We got it. All right. So we fixed the bug. Part of the process, folks. Okay, so we loaded, there's no activity. So we'll go to info. So like this is our subcontractor. We didn't require a phone or an email input. We've never checked in. We also haven't talked about checking in yet. And then this is, I'll zoom out a little bit. This is very zoomed in. Jeez. Um, I'm still talking to myself. That's so funny. All right, so these are the orientations that we've done. So if there have been more than one site that we checked into, then they would be all listed there. And you can do really cool stuff. Like you can send. So a lot of times what will happen is like people get like halfway through and they're like, like I did it, right? Like I don't really need to go and finish this thing, but like not true. You do need to finish it because that's a requirement of the general contractor. So we have some options here to like let them send this to one of our devices that we have on site, which is like just a tablet, like maybe like an iPad or something. So we interface with an app, like a kiosk app. It's called Fully Kiosk, which is a great company. I think that they're German based, which I don't know if it's relevant to you, but now you know. Yeah, they have a few different apps. One is like basically just like a web browser that just is like they have a shell of an app, and then there's a web browser in it, and then you can sort of interface with that web browser, and you can like refresh the page, and you can like call out some like JavaScript. Um, you can call it, yeah, there's like some JavaScript interfaces so where you can like change the brightness on the screen and do like all kinds of things. So we use them and like we can send one of our devices, um, we can send one of our devices like a web, like a link to load. So this is what that does. We can copy the resume link if we want to do that. We can view a resume QR code. And now this just goes to localhost, so don't get all excited. And then we can send resume link to, so we can send them a text message, but we can't here because we didn't require the phone number. And then we can set a waypoint, which is a different thing we can talk about later. So anyways, so this is good old Johnny Appleseed. He's taking the orientation. He passed. Good boy. And then so we got all this stuff here. And this is all brand new. Like this isn't hit production yet. So there's definitely some wonkiness in there, but that's fine. That's okay. That's how it goes for now. Um, so yeah, this is like a little bit about the product, but like we also do some pretty interesting stuff. And I'm talking for forever now, and I haven't even told you about the entire company, but like that's part of it, right? Um, like we do a lot of stuff. Like for a really small startup, and for a one-man band, we have a lot of things. Like we do a lot of stuff. I'd love to show you sort of like the workshop sometime, which is very informal. It's in my garage. And we have like soldering station out there, and it's a total disaster, but there's a lot of cool, fun stuff. We have like electric skateboards that I built. Maybe one day I'll get back into it. Who knows? Just not today. Um, Hopefully I showed you the screen again. Yeah, I did. Okay. Um, I check email. We're working here. This is not like fun time. Um, yeah. So like here's a hardware device. This one is like one of our first iterations. I mean, and they look the same today basically, but this is like a test one that we got, like a little demo. Um, so I need to see what I'm showing you. Well, so let me go to just face. So yeah, like this is one of our devices, and this is not how it goes out into the world, though it could. Um, it's just a giant Android tablet. And what's interesting about this is that it has no battery. So like this is the actual circuitry and all that stuff. Like up here is like where we get a lot of our like communications antennas inputs up here. Oops. Up here, like these would be for like 4G, like sub 4G, GPS, and then this is Wi-Fi, obviously, or maybe that's obvious. And then we've got some branding on the back for Safetynow, but nobody can see that, which is a little sad. But yeah, like right here on the front, we've got our tablet. So we've also gone and we built a case to go around it. We did it for a couple of reasons. I did it for a couple of reasons. That reason being, well, we wanted to make sure it was like absolutely waterproof. Like there cannot be like water ingress in this thing because we can't just like be going about our day and then like all rain comes through town and then the areas that we service and then like boom, all of our devices are dead. It's too expensive to replace them all. So that's insane. We have to make sure that they're waterproof, and then we also in the summer have to make sure that they're cold or cooled. So we have a case that's got like a very small like cooling circuit in there. That's all custom that we built ourselves. Would have loved to have bought something off the shelf, but it really doesn't exist in the way that we needed it to, which is so often the reason why we build the things that we build. Um, like I can talk about this here in a second. So the case is 3D printed, um, and let's see what else about it. It also has no battery. That's a big thing about it. And there's a reason why. It's because batteries freeze, like consumer grade batteries. They freeze in the winter, like when it gets below zero. And so like a lot of the protection mechanisms within like your iPad, for example, or like whatever Android tablet you're using, they'll just shut the device down. They just kill it. And so then it won't come back up online until it reaches some sort of threshold, um, uh, battery threshold temperature. If at all, you might have to like manually hit the start button. But for us, these are kiosks. These are like self-service kiosks. So there's nobody's going to go and press that button. So we can't be having batteries out there, out in the world. So that required some work. That required some engineering to like go and find a solution that did not have a battery in it. At one point I considered like building our own with like Raspberry Pis, of which I've got 1,000 here. So many of these things. Here's just two. Got a bunch of little bits and pieces here. Like this is a ESP32 CAN board here. We were doing some like AI stuff at one point. It's still kind of our, oh, that does have a LED. I forgot about that. I should try that again. That would be interesting to learn about. Maybe we'll try it right now. We have to power it. Huh. How did you power this thing? Huh. Let's see. That's kind of annoying. I need like a lab bench power supply, things like that. But in time, we have like Raspberry Pis here that we've used for other projects. But going in there and like building your own kiosk, like that's a lot of work, man. And like there's no such thing as like a really good 4G solution for Raspberry Pi. I've looked, and I swear if anybody ever watches this and you know of a really good one that's absolutely solid as a rock, let me know. Drop a comment, do something because I haven't found one. I used to use a company called SixFab, and they were good on the surface, and I'm sure they've gotten better since I used them last, like almost 2 years ago. But man, there were some serious issues with a lot of their firmware that I just couldn't overlook. Um, so like at one point we went with the hologram Nova chip. You can see that. It'll focus. I'm not like a camera guy, so anyways, there you go. It's a little bit of a focus. Um, yeah, you can just plug these into the USB, but problem with these is that they just chug power. So like if you need to do anything CPU intensive on the Raspberry Pi, then it's just gonna undercurrent. It's just gonna cut out on you, and you're gonna get some really weird behavior. And that's what we discovered. And then like even when I bought this like a year and a half ago or longer, they were like barely had any stock, and they don't have any in stock now. So I feel like they're phasing them out. Plus, this is a 3G model, and 3G networks are getting shut down. Um, so anyways, that's been an experiment. This Raspberry Pi was like a camera project. So we had like one of these. What's the connector called? I forgot. I'm not sure. Anyways, we had one of these projects. We were trying to make a kiosk out of this Raspberry Pi. Anyways, we settled on this because you can just go and buy them. They're manufactured. They're like bug tested. They run Android, so that you can just go and create an Android app with all your standard like Android tools. Let's see. Sorry, tweet lane. We've got a Twitter update here, something about Germany. um, so yeah, we can just go and pick this up. We can build like a cooling case around it. It stays warm enough, so it shouldn't get too cold or have any issues there. But there's one issue that we'll be covering pretty soon, probably definitely on this channel. But we've already started, but um, basically it's not getting light until later. Oh, hold on. Sorry. Let's try to grab something. Let's see. Tweet lane. Um, but yeah, like, so one thing that we're facing right now is it's not getting light until later, which is a bummer because these cameras can't see so well in the dark. So we have to create some sort of solution to to get around that. And so we're gonna build into the case some sort of like light circuitry that'll like detect when a person's coming, or detect motion basically, and then the fact that it's not light outside, that it's dark, and then like when you detect motion, you just boom turn on the LEDs, and then you'll be able to see their face. So it's like a few ways to like get around that, like a stopgap for us for now, and it's worked really well. Is that we will just illuminate the screen really brightly right before we take a picture of the person. And then that's gotten us pretty far. I like that idea, but it would obviously be great to have like a crystal clear image as if like the sun was like directly in their face, lighting them up perfectly. Um, so that's one option. And then that's what we're doing today, and that's kind of how we're like getting away with it. And then like the other and better option would be to have like some sort of LED circuit, and so that's kind of what we built here. We'll need that component. Where that component? I can't show it because I'm on a MacBook Pro, and you only get one you only get one USB port. Uh, but that's all right. I can. I think the code's already loaded, so maybe if I just plug it in, well, we can see it work. Let's see. Here we go. Plug this in. Just some USB power. Down here, we'll plug it in. And so this is using an Arduino Nano, which are like fairly inexpensive, but certainly not the least expensive. And I think that if you were not an amateur, if you were not on amateur hour, then you could probably hook this up a lot better, and you probably wouldn't even need a microcontroller. But sometimes it makes more sense to pay more now just for the ease of it and like the security of it than it would be to like go and become more of a circuit designer, which I am certainly not. So, I really hope there's audio on this. I've been just talking to nothing. Here we go. Because I started the stream. Oops. Got a lot going on down here. Yeah, so you can see that's lit up. So I just stopped moving for a second. Freeze. And move. Boom. It'll light up. The only thing that it doesn't listen to right now is the photo sensor here, and this is just like a breakout board. All that stuff just makes it so easy. But the idea is that maybe like if you're looking here and there's like a case, and I'll get the case another time because I don't have one in here right now. It's in the garage. Um, is to have either like on the top, probably just the top right here where the camera, yeah, where the camera is, or on the side, whichever is like more advantageous or whatever. For the visibility. Have like LEDs along the side here, and then when they detect motion, then they will just light up, and then you'll get that perfect picture. So like this is sort of like a first attempt to see how cheaply we can do it, and then like how many components it'll require. I have to like 3D print some sort of like add-on, and then the other option or the other like problem that we have is like how are we gonna power this thing? So like I did a little bit of research, and this is totally an option, but it just looks less professional. And I'd like to get something like integrated with the actual case, so it's like one unit. Um, this might turn on. I don't know. I don't think it will. But this is just like your standard like Chinese whatever little outdoor LED lamp. So when it detects motion, then it'll just turn on right and light something up. But then on the top, there's like a solar panel. There's like an 18650 battery cell in there. So, anyways, this might be a good option, or like at least a stopgap, so that we don't have to go and develop something and 3D print something and like get a case and like get it affixed to these and all that stuff. So, there's like a lot going on, everybody in the chat. There's a lot going on in this company. It's all super interesting, super interesting. Um, and I think that people get a lot of use out of it. And like maybe, you'll watch me not be an expert in any of this stuff, or well, I am an expert in some of it, but you know, um, like I'm not an expert in like circuit design, and like I'm not like an electrical engineer. Like that's a fact. But I am also too poor to like go and afford one, right? Like that's part of the whole thing. So you have to go and learn how to do it yourself. And like if there's one thing that I've like really discovered and why I think that I would be interesting on YouTube is because um YouTube and like TikTok and Instagram and all that stuff, like it's just filled with experts, right? Like everybody is an expert in like something, and so it kind of makes you feel as if you can't, or that you have to go and like go and get a job for a number of years in like some certain field before like you could be like that kind of expert. Um, uh, and and so I'm not, but I'm doing the same things that they are, and I think that we can be just as successful, if not more successful. So like, why not give it a shot? And maybe you'll see that you can do that too. We will find out over time. So let's see. Um, what else can we go over? How else can we better understand what we're doing here? So like today, this thing is still moving, still laying up, which is very cool. And it's also powered all by the Arduino Nano. Now I haven't done like the math. It's like how much can how much power can I draw before I sort of um, undercurrent the Nano? But so far so good. And if you want to get a closer look at it, it's kind of a wreck. Let me do this. So yeah, now you can see a little bit water. Uh, so like this is the circuit that we've sort of spun up here. If it'll, it's just like a cheap webcam, but it should be good enough. Anyways, like that's obviously the Arduino. We've got the PIR sensor, um, which is just like it's not proximity. Or is it proximity infrared? I think it might be. This might be what it stands for. PIR, but PIR is just the thing that detects motion, and so it'll just spit out like a bunch of numbers at you, which so it won't give you like a one or a zero if somebody's there or is not there. It'll just sort of give you like how much a moving object it detects, like not the intensity to which it detects, but anyways, when it detects something, it'll give you that. So you say like, well, if the number is greater than 100 or greater than 200, whatever the threshold might be, then we can assume that there's a person there or a moving object there, and we want to go ahead and light up. And so the same can be said for whatever this breakout board outputs from this photoresistor. And there's a lot of great videos that I watch. It's like how I kind of sort of thought about all this. This is a photoresistor, and now again, I'm not an expert, so if I'm super wrong, then go for it, I guess. Um, this is sort of like a teeny tiny, like, I'll pull it out. It's like a teeny tiny solar panel. And so if it detects light, this thing up here, if it detects light, then its resistance goes up. And then if it detects darkness, then the resistance goes down. So at some point, if it's not resistive to the current going through it, then we can safely determine like, okay, hey, it's dark enough, or it's dark to a certain point. And the reason that that's there is to where like I don't want to turn the LED on if it's like full brightness, full sunlight out there. But if it's at nighttime or early in the morning, then I do want to do that. And so you can see a bunch of components on here. Like there's some LEDs that are like some status LEDs. And then there's like a potentiometer here, so you can sort of like adjust the sensitivity of it. And then obviously it's got like the outputs that go into the Arduino. It's also got a digital out which I don't know what that does, and I'd love to figure it out if this webcam wouldn't take up like my one USB port, just sort of frustrating. Ooh, I bent it. Oops. That's okay. I've got more. And then this one's pretty neat. This is like a little LED, little LED bar, which is more than enough light. I'm shocked at how much it emits. So it's got 8 LEDs on there that are independently addressable, and it's from Adafruit. And so, anyways, you can like turn them on and off, and they're multicolored, so you can adjust the colors with the little library. In fact, I can show you some of the source. It's hardly source, but some of the firmware, I guess. Make sure I plug this in right. There we go. Yeah, so I can show some of that. We're going to, there we go. We go to captures. So where is it? So like this is how some of this works, and I pulled some of this from like the Adafruit like LED lib like examples, because like you don't need to go and like learn how all this C++ stuff works. Like just take the API and like go and use it and like get the job done, move on, right? There was like a long time in my career where I was like I felt like I needed to understand like down to like the particles inside the chip. Like I needed to understand all of that to call myself like an engineer or call myself a software developer, whatever you want to say. But you don't just like take the API. Smart, good people have gone and created it, take advantage of it, get the job done, move on. So, yeah, here and hopefully, yeah, there we go. So up here, we're defining pins, the pins that the LED circuit is connected to, the LED bar. So we're like, this is not really meant to be a tutorial, but we're turning on serial so we can like read some of the output from the Arduino. We're looping, so like we're reading, like we get an analog signal from the light sensor here, and then we're just reading that value, and then here we're reading the motion analog value, and then we're just stopping for a second. Then we turn all the pixels off. We say if the analog, so if the motion sensor is above 0, then like we can say that there's motion. And then in that case, we want to set the color to 255 so we can turn them all on white here. And so I'm doing every other pixel because it's just so bright, and I figure I don't really need to be pulling that much current. Because sometimes we're in like a solar environment where like we don't just have like infinite power and like the ability to just pull however much we want. So when you can be conscious of that, then you should be conscious of it, right? And then we just show it, and then it turns on. And then we delay for a set amount of time, and then we just go and do the whole thing again. It's really that simple. So the delay might be like, maybe we'll say like 10 seconds. We want to show that like 10 seconds because we should be able to detect their face within that amount of time. And going back to the kiosk, like that's like one of the design decisions when it comes down to something like this, like putting it out in the world. Like, can we control this with the tablet, like with the kiosk, to where we don't, because like your phone's got like a proximity sensor, it's got a light sensor, like it has like most of these components. One thing we would really need to power is like the LEDs. So like, can we do that with the kiosk? And if so, should we? Because maybe it's just too complex. Maybe it's just better if it's alone by itself independently, right? And that's just like a question you have to ask yourself. Here's one thing I'm really interested in at this exact moment, and we only have a few more minutes here because, another part of this channel is like fitness, and so like it's about time to go out there and get it. So we only got a few more minutes left for this very first stream, which, has happened finally. So I wanted to like kind of pull apart and like see how this worked. So let me just like put the camera down again. this is what we got. Let's see. I'm looking for modes. Mode. 3 lighting modes. Yeah, but what are they? So security modes, motion sensor turns on the light when people come. To permanent on all night, it turns on at night, stays on all night. Okay. Smart brightness control, the light stays on all night. Turns brighter when it detects motion. See, like that isn't really. I guess like mode 1 would work, but like it doesn't stay on for very long. Just kind of my problem with it. It's like what can you like? And I wouldn't want to install this because it wouldn't even fit the case. Like, can you put some giant capacitor in there to where it would like sort of like keep the LEDs on? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, like this kind of goes back to the conversation about like why you use a third party tool. Like, why we didn't use a third party LMS to build this? Because like we need to have full control over it. We don't want to just um, put out like some half baked solution. Phone call. Gotta take this. Phone time. Hold on. Sorry, phone call. My call back. So lighting time when motion detected at night, 30 seconds. Okay, well that's kind of what I'm talking about. Maybe this thing will work. I don't know. We'll find out. Okay. Well, hey, look, let's get to the workout. We're going to call the stream here in a second that somebody might watch one day. Let's check that out. Let's see what we got. We don't have to do this phone call though. Hold on. Hold on. We gotta do the phone call. All right, that took longer than I thought. So, but yeah, it's time to wrap the stream up because we've been here for 2 hours and I'm tired and I need to go work out. So, what is the workout today? Um, the workout today is so it's a simple week because we've got a 5K coming up this weekend. It's called the Seaside Shuffle. It's in Wrightsville Beach, Wilmington area, and so we're going to try and break 18 minutes. That's the goal. That's the goal. That's what we're going to do on Saturday morning. It's going to be awesome. But we're going to prepare for that. It's a little bit of a different week than it would be normally, and we're going to do. We're just going to go and run 6 miles, and we're going to go and run the course. Let's see. I guess that's a song as well, but okay. Here we go. This is last year's, which is actually really interesting. I'm curious about the course here. Blah 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 race. Yeah. Okay, so they didn't really publish. Okay, well, let's go to this year's though. I really got to get moving. Sorry, Seaside Shuffle 2022. Here we go. Here's the map. Maybe they have the map there too. They did not. I guess I took it down. Anyways, this is the map. So we're gonna go and run here. We're gonna go around twice, which gives us our 6 miles. So we have to do this little U-turn here, which is just obnoxious. Okay. So you have to run here. You have to hit this loop, and we're trying to break 18 minutes, and this is just really tough to do these 90-degree turns. It just really slows you down, man. And so we need to go and do some strides and kind of get used to this little bit here. So we're gonna go out. We're gonna do that. We're gonna run 6 miles. Then we're gonna do some PT work. We're gonna stretch it out, and then tomorrow we'll be on the bike. We'll get there when we get there. So thanks for watching. Thanks for learning about my company. Hopefully you'll subscribe. You'll like the video. You'll come with me on this journey. And we'll do some cool stuff together. We'll get motivated. We'll get excited. We'll get encouraged, inspired, whatever word you want to use. We'll get it done. Until next time, hopefully that'll be later this week, maybe Thursday. I'm guessing. I'm gonna throw that out there. We'll see what happens. And until then, get it done.